And then I just opened the door, let, my team inside. I left and they did the whole thing and they just cleaned it up and that's it.
And how did you feel after that?
It's a bad guy. I know exactly what he did. I used to feel really guilty. I used to feel like a murderer. I felt like I have a blood in my hands and all this. But again, on another hand, I feel like a hero. Like, how many people did I save by just infiltrating this, criminal and doing all the operation together with my team.
But there was a point where you didn't feel like a hero anymore, which is why you left, right? Which I also want to get to.
I got manipulated really badly. And I had to find the way out.
So, Aliia Roza, you have one of the craziest stories I've ever heard. And I have heard plenty of crazy stories. But you're a former Russian sex spy. You defected after you fell in love with a crime boss, and now you're here. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I really want to go into your whole backstory, but I would like to start by asking you, what exactly is a sex spy for people who don't know what that means? Because I don't think a lot of people do.
Absolutely. Funny enough, actually, I would say every time I would ask someone, nobody knows, which is so interesting. So, for example, in Soviet Union, post-Soviet Union countries, people know what is it, but here and in Europe, they don't have any idea.
Right.
So honeypot, honey trap, sex espionage, it's a special program based in secret intelligence agencies. As much as we know, it's actually started from, I would actually say from Britain, by the way, which is interesting. And that's what we've learned when I studied in the academy. And then Stalin, during the Second War and everything, when he saw that there are sex spies, female beautiful sex spies who would seduce, military officers to get information about, operations during Second War, he gave an order to create that special department where at that time, NKVD, but then it was further formed to KGB, they would basically enrolled these young, beautiful females from prestigious universities, or perhaps they would be already established celebrities like beautiful models, actresses, singers. And basically, you cannot say no to the government. These ladies had to go and seduce targets, whoever could be, get information, deliver this information to the commander, to the government, and then just be basically the puppets.
And this is what essentially happened to you.
My story is a little bit different, but yes.
But let's start then from the beginning. So tell me a little bit. You grew up in Russia, in Moscow, is that right?
Yes. So so that time when I was born in actually 1984. That time it was still USSR. So I was born in the country which doesn't exist anymore.
That's right.
Which is funny. My parents, my heritage coming from Kazakhstan and Tatarstan. So my parents, my father was a high-ranking officer. So we literally our family would move from one city to another city, and that time different republics. But then we ended up living in Russian side, which was Moscow, when USSR fall in 1991. So then my dad decided, because of his job, he didn't decide to go back to Kazakhstan or wherever. So we ended up living in Russia, and we received Russian passports. And I was the only one Asian girl in the school with all these, kids, blonde, blue eyes. So I was bullied.
Were you?
Badly. Yes, I was. Actually, children, they wouldn't understand why I'm so Asian, right? They wouldn't understand Kazakhstan and whatever, Uzbekistan, Tatarstan. So they thought I'm from China. So they would tell me, go back to China. And I was, of course, devastated and all that. But now I understand it's, those people who has different tones of skins, they totally understand me. What does it mean to be kind of a leftover or outsider in the
different
group of, you feel different.
Right. And so you felt different growing up when you were a kid?
Very much so. Very much so. And then after 91, it was, almost like a civil revolution in Russia.
Perestroika.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, yes, Perestroika, you know this name. And it was really terrible. I'm trying to kind of like, I will try to explain what really happened, because that time was the time where people literally didn't have food. So I remember I was that time like 7, 8 years old, and I had little sister who was 2 years old, and my dad would always work in the job like 24/7, totally busy, and he wasn't get paid because there was like, perestroika, no money in the country. It was absolutely chaos. And we would stand under the rain, under the snow 4-5 hours a day in order to get just one piece of bread and like one sausage or whatever. So they would literally give you food according to how many members in the family are standing in the line.
And this was the government giving out food.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you still have to buy it, but when you would come to the store,
there was just not.
There was nothing.
Wow.
Like you cannot literally feed your kids.
And I remember I read that your grandfather was also sort of a war hero, right? He fought in the war against the Nazis.
Yes.
And that you looked up to him.
Of course. I mean, Stalingrad, right? Like one of the biggest Second War fight in Russia happened there. So many soldiers were killed. And my family name is literally written. It's like a monument in Stalingrad, in this like beautiful monument where it's the statue of the motherland. And there are like some, not so many, but like there's some names written on the wall where of those soldiers who really like, fought for Nazi and all this. Of course, when I was a little kid, I would come there and my father would be so proud to show me, our family name, and it would be like, you have to also be military. You have to go and like follow our family footprints and our past.
That's what happened when you became a teenager, right?
Yes. So interestingly, I didn't even understood till later when I became mom myself. My father, oh my God, my father, I love him so much. But so
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still alive.
Okay.
We have quite normal family parenting kind of like relationship, like father and daughter, but we are kind of like not allowed to speak about any political situations in the countries, just because, first of all, we just don't understand each other. He's very much Soviet Union patriot. I'm not, because I'm almost like 20 years out of the, living out of Russia.
But I mean, more than that, not the time, but you're more than not. You're a defector. You're almost like an enemy of the state, right? Aren't you now divulging secrets of how?
But I never really shared the secret. So actually, I was like thinking, I'm actually doing something good for the whole Russian intelligence service, because I'm sort of like promoting the agency in a good way, in a way where I, for example, never infiltrated political or gangs or like bands or whatever. I never infiltrated ministers. I never like really did like kind of like bad things between countries or whatever.
Right. You weren't your targets weren't political targets. Your targets were actually criminals, right?
Like bad guys. And bad guys, I'm talking about like really bad guys who would kidnap underage kids for the sex trafficking. And it would be like a huge business. Like it's not just like a few. There were like thousands of them.
So I want to get there. I'm a little confused about why they would need a sex spy to get to the criminals, and why not deploy, the agencies and law enforcement.
That's why I did everything to leave, because that would be my next missions.
To go to do sort of political targets.
Yes. And actually that was my problem when I used to live in Europe, because the Russian government still pushed me and still kind of like created everything for me to go and spy on, for example, Russian escaped oligarchs, who would transfer all this money from Russia and invest into British or European assets and companies. And of course, this was like Russian money. So I had some missions over there, but I don't really kind of like it wasn't something where you go and like terminate the target. It was literally like spying, getting information, observing, analyzing.
So you had some oligarchs who were your targets for some time.
In Europe, yes.
But have you ever revealed information on who exactly they were, or?
No, I can't. Because they're still alive. I mean, like, I don't want to be targeted by them.
So you think that you haven't been targeted yet because you haven't divulged that much information.
Exactly.
And the way you portray your training is actually quite good for the state. You portray it as incredible training and how professional the Russian intelligence system is.
Yes, and this is true. It's one of the most powerful, agencies. They have the most powerful, I would say, techniques on psychology, on like human psychology. And I do believe that if, in schools, universities, there would be certain subjects to teach the art of communication, people would be, it would be so much easier for people to spot any manipulation and not to get into bad business or romantic relationships where they would spot like manipulation.
Right, particularly now in the age of scams. And
exactly, especially online, dating or whatever. Or like you saw this recent New York Post, right, where I gave an interview how to spot manipulation. Especially for the Silicon Valley executives and CEOs of IT companies.
I want to get there in a second. I do want to talk about the defectors because there have been defectors who have been killed, but we'll get there in a little bit. I wanted to go back. Okay, so you're a teenager and your father, you come from a very patriotic family. Your father works in the military and intelligence. And then how did you join?
So my father from early age actually taught me the whole psychological techniques. I didn't even understood that time, but he would literally every single evening would, sit down with me after dinner, and for an hour or two, he would literally like tell me like different situations in life, and like he would say like what agents would do. They would do this. Okay, here is a test for you. What would you do? And I would like, pick up from his brain and literally like taught by him. And then
he was training you since you were a kid.
He was training me. This is number one. Number two, when I was a teenager, he actually introduced me to the gun shooting. So I sort of like fell in love to this power, having a gun in your hand, where he would train me how to shoot. And then eventually when I got enrolled to the academy, I actually became like, I won a competition between sort of like states, which calls oblast in Russia. I was the first and the best gun shooter from Pistolet Makarov, which is gun Makarov, in the state. That's how like my father trained me.
How old were you when you started shooting guns?
Well, early, like from like literally. So as much as I remember myself, psychological training from early age, and then the gun shooting, I remember I was about 12 years old. So extreme driving, same story. He literally told me how to like extreme drive on. We had that time manual car, like extreme.
Me too. That's how I grew up in manual.
Exactly.
Cars.
So like how to feel the speed, how to feel the car, especially.
So this is in case you were being chased or you had to flee a place. Is that
everything? I think he prepared me for such a big mission, and that's why, when I kind of like fled the country, he didn't speak with me for like a year because he just didn't want to like lose me as an agent. He would still like tell me like you should come back and maybe restart your career.
Does he know what happened to you while you were an agent? Does he know what they did to you?
You know what? I think he understands that that's possible, but he understands that it's also part of the training. Okay, it's part of the who you're supposed to be. And I don't know. I mean, of course he knows, but we just pretend we don't speak about it.
I know you did a podcast, right?
Yes,
called To Die For, where you speak at length about your whole life. And you go into some of the horrible things that happened to you. Do you think he's ever listened to that podcast?
No. First of all, due to the Ukrainian war, Spotify, Apple, and Audible are banned in Russian. Second, he doesn't speak English. So no.
Would you want him to listen to it?
He had cancer. That's why he retired and all that. So I don't want he would have. You see, like the thing is, like I'm a parent myself. Like I'm having these questions. Like I try to be a good parent for my son, where we have like friendship rather than parenting. You know what I'm saying? Like oh, you must do this and must do this because I'm your mother. You have to listen to me. I'm more like trying to find this communication with him, like to be a friend.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I live in Los Angeles, and it's been getting dark here before 5 p.m. I hate it. I really hate this time of the year. It can be a tough time for many of us. But you know what works for me? Feeling connected to those I love. I just came back from a trip to Portugal, where I'm from, and it was so incredibly special to spend time with my family and friends. It really gave me the energy and the warmth and all the good things that I need to go through this period. When was the last time you spoke to your grandma, your uncle, your bestie? This November, BetterHelp is encouraging everyone to reach out, to check in on those you love and remind them that you are there. I know that this is not always easy. We all live super busy lives, and sometimes it takes courage to send that message or make that call. Reaching out for therapy can feel difficult too. But let me tell you something, it's worth it. And it almost always leaves people wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? BetterHelp has served over 5 million people around the world. With over 30,000 licensed therapists, BetterHelp is one of the largest online therapy platforms out there. A short questionnaire helps connect you to the right therapist. And if you aren't happy with your match, you can switch to a different therapist at any time. This month, don't wait to reach out. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Mariana. That's betterhelp.com/Mariana.
But my parents, they are from another gender. It's another era. It's another time. So we would never be able to build this relationship. So I don't want even to get into the past and what is the point? To blame him, I don't want to. It took me 17 years of therapy to actually accept the rape and the sexual abuse, which I've been experiencing for years, in order to be here and openly speak about it.
I think it would be more of an understanding on his part as to why you left and why you would never be able to go back.
Yeah, I know exactly everything, why he actually brought me there. I know exactly why he was doing this. Because look, he is coming from a military background. This is the only one way he sees the life, where you're supposed to work and live your life. This is the only one way. If I would come when I came to him and say I want to work in fashion, he literally he just couldn't understand what fashion is. Not because but he just he
didn't think that was a viable option at all. He was like, what do you mean fashion?
Absolutely no. Yeah, it's a very narrow thinking, brainwashed by the system mentality where this is the only one path. Horses, they have these things and they look only one way. Right. They cannot go to left or right. So that's exactly how my parents are, my father particular. So I cannot blame him for this. Right. He was raised like that.
And so you were how old when he decided he wanted to take you to the academy?
Straight after the high school. Literally, I just turned 18. No, he started this conversation a year ago.
Telling you what? Telling you I want you to go to the academy?
Telling me you have to go to the military. And I'm like, Dad, I want to do fashion. This is my passion. In fact, finally, I do some fashionable things in my life and I'm super happy about it. But that time he said no, what is fashion? You have one skirt, one blouse, one shoes. That's enough. This is your fashion. So go. And I couldn't also, I'm coming from a Muslim background. I wouldn't say my parents are very religious or whatever, but the structure of the family, the women have to be obedient. The woman cannot speak out. The woman cannot have neither her own opinion, her friends, her hobbies. The woman has to follow the man's guide. That's it. Black and white. Right. And I was raised like that. My mom is like that. My sister is like that. So I didn't see any other options for myself. And when he said, you have to go, I was like, okay, I have to go. There's no other option.
And then, so how was it? So he enrolled you in the military. He dropped you off.
So he brought me to my first department. It was the department where I first was raped by my commander colleague. And
what was that one? What was that called?
This is Department Investigating Crime.
Department investigating
yes,
crime.
particular. So, but it was in the States, so inside, indoor.
Is there an equivalent in the United States that I could try to figure?
Yes. So basically, it was very connected to. Second, my department was DEA, so it's connected. So DEA, it's like the drug and
enforcement agency. So it was sort of the equivalent of the DEA in Russia.
Yeah, but it wasn't just DEA; it was also sex trafficking. So I don't know.
Yeah. And so it was an agency that was under the military. It was a military agency that investigated crimes such as drug trafficking and sex trafficking.
Yeah. Okay, so I will try to explain our beloved audience. So FSB, right? This is a secret intelligence agency. Underneath them, they have different departments. So FSKN was a department established by Vladimir Putin to particularly investigate drug trafficking coming from Afghanistan to Russia. So, and then it was dissolved after, I don't know, whatever years, but like that time it was established and I was enrolled there.
That's where you were enrolled. That was the first place you were enrolled.
No, this was my second place.
Second. Okay. So the first one was which one?
Which is like basically the crime investigation department.
Right. So you are, and the idea was that you were going to go in and train to become what?
I think that my father doesn't know that I was enrolled into a sex espionage program. Because first of all, this is very classified information, and even when we were studying this, program, we were not allowed to share with even none of our colleagues, our family members, or anyone. For example, there were girls, like one girl who was actually married, and she couldn't tell her husband about like what she was studying.
Wow.
Same with males, Romeos, which are male agents, same story. Whatever they studied there, they wouldn't share with us. We wouldn't know.
So the men are called Romeos. What are the women called?
Swallows.
Swallows, that's right.
But in the book, it's a red sparrow. But I don't know, maybe it's
so
more
there was
like
a
romantic.
book that became a very famous Hollywood movie.
Yes, with Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence, right. And they changed the name from Red Swallow to Red
I think
Sparrow.
like maybe because it's too kind of like swallow, it's a little bit.
Right. I think people would think of it, have a second interpretation of it.
I think so.
And did you read the book before you came out or watch the movie? Did you watch the movie before?
I watched the movie I watched the movie just a few years ago.
And
I didn't know about the book and the movie.
Had you already come out had you already sort of confessed or started talking about the fact that you were in?
Yeah, it was introduced in the Fox News the first time they invited me. I'll tell the pre-story about it. So when the Ukraine war started, I swear to God, I would never imagine that it would become so viral. I just basically stated my opinion about like the Ukrainian war to a very small press outlet. It was small. The journalist is my friend. He's like, please, what do you think? I know you've been in the military without even knowing about spy or whatever. What do you think about this situation? So I shared my opinion in the small outlet. And I said, I was an agent of sort of like DEA, blah, blah, blah. So I know how the whole military, works and all this. Then from there, it just one by one, it became viral and more viral and more viral. And then all this New York Post, The Sun, TMZ, all this
Fox, right?
Fox, they all came.
They started contacting you.
We need you.
And they were asking at the time for information on Ukraine. They needed people to talk about insiders from Russia who spent time in the military there who could talk about what's happening and what their thoughts are on the war.
And then the Fox News, Brian Kimberly asked me, so who are you? Then I said well, I'm a former secret agent. I used to do blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, so a former Russian spy, sex spy, because I shared that I would infiltrate my targets using seduction spy psychological techniques, which I studied in the program.
Right. So that was not a term that you actually used yourself.
Absolutely not. I was just speaking with my manager right now, while I was coming here, stuck in traffic. She said, did you see Fox News published literally today the article about also you, and they mention you as a former CIA agent? I'm like, oh my God, this press, because this is crazy. Now I'm a former CIA. So so you never kind of know, but I shared so the only one, that's why I'm so thankful for you to invite me for your interview, because at least I can speak my truth, like from my side. Because, when press writes, they need to sell the article, right? So they put all this sometimes absolutely crazy highlights. And I'm like, what can I do?
And there's also a lot of people, when I was doing research, I have to tell you that there's a lot of people that doubt your story. They really think all of this is fake.
Absolutely. Because, look, nobody knows what is sexpionage, right? How are they supposed to believe like a kind of like Russian chick who's like in LA, influencer, right? Like I have like big blog on Instagram. I mean, like I started it because I'm in fashion, so I'm doing this for the fashion purposes, and actually I make money because like influencers, like that's the way they make their revenue, right? Like they promote products, they get paid. So that was like my thing after I finished with my military career. And of course, people doubt it. They think like, oh my God, like, it's so weird because first of all, people do not really my story. Not so many people. I mean, like there were a huge amount of downloads, which were like more than like millions of the podcast To Die For, and it got top 6 in the world last year. But again, not so many people know about it. So sometimes,
so this is the podcast about your life,
right? So people, of course, they doubt and they think like, I don't know what is honey trap, I don't know what is sexpionage. So of course, people doubt it. I don't blame them. We all have our own opinion, and I'm not here like to push you to believe me or not. I share my story. You want to believe it? Great. You don't want to believe it? Like, I mean, what can I do? Don't believe it. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I want to get there, but I do want to first hear your story. So
yes.
Back to you go. So you're in this, and I listened to the podcast, and
thank you.
Of course, and I'm not going to make you repeat some of the stories, but essentially you were raped, right? You're comfortable with me saying that?
Absolutely,
and if you're
yes.
not, I can
17 years of therapy works.
Right, okay. So you entered this academy. They handpicked you to become what they do not call a sex spy, but essentially they handpick you to become an agent that would use your sex appeal and sometimes even your sexual acts to gain information.
A bait, basically.
Right,
we were baits. That's it. That's who
but
we
using your sexual appeal
appeal, of course.
And they would actually teach you how to have sex, correct? So tell me a little bit about the training of all that.
80% of our education were psychological techniques, which are manipulation, influence, seduction, sex techniques, and persuasion. All these techniques are very important for recruiting your targets or make your targets to do what you want and then terminate the target. Either kill, either just whatever. But like,
were you taught how to kill too? Was that one of your missions? You had to kill. Did you ever kill?
Well, I was sent to the war. I had to.
You did it under the pretense of war. You weren't targeting an individual, or did you?
No, we of course, like in some missions we did. But that time, okay, so I don't want like people think like I am a murderer, but I would give and I felt like for 17 years I felt guilt about it, and sometimes it comes to me in the really bad dreams. But I would say this, even if I now will see a pedophile, like a pedophile, there is no doubt I would like, basically, it's just like automatically I will just go and probably will kill him.
But are you saying that then you only killed pedophiles, or did you kill?
No, like not particularly. So bad guys, who are bad guys, right? Like if like they are definitely bad guys, and we have evidences that this is a bad guy who kidnapped a certain amount of children for the sex trafficking, for the organ transportation or whatever.
What about drug trafficking? Did you also target people involved in drug trafficking?
Drug trafficking, I trafficked, but I never killed any drug lords, suppliers or whatever, because I cannot say they're not bad guys. They still are, but I feel that every human being who decides to take a drug, it's his responsibility. Okay?
Yeah, and you don't know the circumstances that led people to become drug traffickers. I mean, I have a whole show on National Geographic called Trafficked, which is essentially I investigate these black markets, and I spend a lot of time with drug traffickers, human traffickers. I mean, the people that we consider the bad guys, right? And my platform, and I think very much my goal as a journalist, is to allow them to tell their story so that we can try to understand why they became who they are, because I think that's much more important and a much better way for us to solve problems in the world is go to the root cause of those problems, right? So I have a harder time seeing the world as black and white. And I imagine that if it was something that you were trained and perhaps even forced to do, that it's much easier for you to accept that by seeing the world as black and white, by seeing the people that you killed were people who were exploiting kids, so you would do it again, right?
I mean, even if I'm civilian now, but I would totally do it because I'm a mother, first of all. Like, it's just like, I was just like trained like that. So the thing is that I was trained from the beginning for protecting civilians, especially women and children, and I still have it inside of me. It's like in my DNA.
And I mean, I'm going to ask you questions. I'm a journalist. That's my job. And you can say if you don't want to
answer them. And I'm here for this.
Right. If you don't want to answer them, you don't need to. But what technique did you use to kill people? How did you kill them?
Gun, my favorite.
Was it guns?
Of course, guns. Guns, it's like quick, easy, fast. What can be better?
Because the Russian government uses and the intelligence forces use poison a lot as well.
Yes, right? I would tell you this. Poison can be used only by those who know exactly what the dosage is. For example, let's go to this amazing example with Litvinenko, who was a former KGB agent who wrote an amazing book. But his mistake was that he published the book with all the numbers and statistics and basically
like the secrets of the state,
everything, where he would expose Vladimir Putin. Those two agents who were sent to London to kill him, they did a huge mistake. And the mistake was that they didn't know what's the dosage of this poison. First of all, if they would know what the dosage is, right, they would put enough in the tea of like Litvinenko, so he would die straight away. He didn't die straight away. He died after, when he was giving interviews and became a hero in the,
Right. So just for our listeners, so it's Litvinenko, right? And he was a former spy, Russian spy who defected, correct? And then he was killed by Russian secret intelligence agents while he was living in London.
Yes, and he actually got his citizenship in England.
Right, and he was poisoned.
He was poisoned in the hotel.
Do you know what they used to poison him?
I actually don't remember, but...
Actually, do you mind if I do a search real quick? So we use... Matt, can you search? Can you do a perplexity search?
I think it was Novichok or something.
I'm interested in knowing because... Yeah, I've heard so much about the poisoning by Russian agents. Matt is searching right now for us. We use an AI platform called Perplexity. They actually sponsor the show. And it's really good because you do searches and they give you the source of where it came from. So you know for sure that this is real.
Yeah, I just sent that over to you.
You did? Okay,
Novichok? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I don't remember because they use like many ricin sometimes they use.
Okay, here it is. Alexander Litvinenko was poisoned with a highly radioactive substance known as polonium-210 in London on November 1st in 2006. The poison was delivered to him in a cup of tea, as you were mentioning, at the Millennium Hotel's Pine Bar. It says that polonium-210 emits alpha particles, which are extremely harmful when ingested, but are difficult to detect using standard radiation detectors because alpha radiation does not penetrate far and is not picked up by Geiger counters. Wow, which made the poison particularly tricky to identify.
Yeah, but they messed up, right? First of all, the whole world knew about this murder. Second, they didn't know how to use this poison. And I actually read some articles where the whole hotel was poisoned because they literally, like these two agents, they threw out the liquid of this poison into just like the sink, which made the whole hotel and the whole area around it radioactive.
Wow, that's so dangerous, right?
So here, where we start, like the question, this is from the beginning. Only agents who really know how to work with poison and what's the dosage is, they are actually allowed to do this sort of
and you weren't.
terminations.
You weren't trained on
am
that.
not the expert.
So you were trained just to use weapons and to kill using guns.
I was a bait. I would go infiltrate, like, make the target to be whatever, like, relaxed or just
Trust you, I guess.
trust me. Yeah, of
Right.
course. And then I would literally bring my team or like allow my team to come and do the rest of the job and then clean it up.
And the rest of the job involved probably killing. And
Of course. I literally did it for one target. We were in the, sort of like sauna, whatever, like banya, Russian banya. And then I just opened the door, let, my team inside. I left and they did the whole thing and they just clean it up and that's it.
And how did you feel after that?
It's a bad guy. I know exactly what he did. I feel, I wouldn't say like, I used to feel really guilty. I used to feel like a murderer. I felt like I have a blood in my hands and all this. But again, on another hand, I feel like a hero. Like, how many people did I save by just like infiltrating this, criminal and doing all the operation together with my team.
But there was a point where you didn't feel like a hero anymore, which is why you left, right? Which I also want to get to.
I got manipulated really badly. And I had to find the way out.
We'll get there as well. So tell me about, some of the techniques. I'm very curious about some of the techniques that you learned. I want to see if I can learn some of them too. But essentially, how do you get people to trust you? And what is the art of seduction?
Oh my God, the art of seduction. It's actually a really wide topic. I'll tell you this. There's so many techniques. The most important is, of course, to establish trust through building bond. So, for example, it's not just like having the same, like, copying the body language.
I knew you were going to do that because
not just that.
I've had my arms crossed while we were talking for a little bit. And I was wondering if you were analyzing the way I was sitting.
I did.
And what were your thoughts about me having my arms crossed? Because I think that usually, what signal does that send?
Okay, so when you cross your arms, it's a protective position. You're trying to either protect, either you think like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. Or maybe you think like, what should I say next? Or maybe like it was too much information. Or you protect yourself. You kind of like, backing up yourself, right?
Or you're just sitting in a position where you have a table in front of you and you don't know where to put your arms.
Or you're just like, sometimes like, but different. Right. When your gestures are open, like Obama, former president, would like openly greeting people, like, these gestures. This is all obviously like gives us sort of like compassion and opening and being friendly. Like, I'm here for you. I'm open. I'm honest in front of you, right? Of course, when people like close their arms like this and they operate and like they have gestures like this, again, this is sort of like they closing up or they shy about themselves or they like
and you're doing the gestures you're doing just for our listeners as people who don't sort of open up their arms or their shoulders and they're quietly sitting in one position.
Or like women would sit like this, or they would, where's my bag? Or this is like the wrong thing when women come to the bar or restaurant, they put their back like this.
Where they put their
and this
hand
is like this, and they're waiting for a man to come and approach them. Right. So I tell my students, my female students, I said like, girls, like don't do it. Like you come to the bar to meet someone, like, be relaxed, be open, shoulders, like, relax shoulders, play with your hair, like be like, smiling, giggling, all that, like be relaxed, right? But again, this is all techniques, practice makes it perfect.
I think there's obviously, I spend a lot of time in the criminal underworld interviewing criminals and getting them to trust me, which is not easy. Takes the majority of my time. And, obviously there's some techniques that I use as well. But one of them is pretty natural to me, which is just, first of all, treat everybody as a human being and just generally be warm. And I think I am generally a warm person. So I like to hug people when I first meet them. I like to start asking questions about them, who they are, do they have kids, anything that I can share about myself that connects with them.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. When you connect your mutual interest or your mutual wherever, like you have like, oh, I also have a son, you said, do you remember?
I did. I told you I had a son who's the same age as your son. You see, this
is a connection. Oh, I also did this. Oh, I also love football. I also like, I don't know, coffee or like tea or whatever. So you connect yourself. This is another also technique when you connect yourself. Right, but just quickly to mention, so I came across to criminals as either prostitute, right? Is either like this like girl, just like having fun girl. Because that was my cover.
So that you were usually a prostitute or pretending to be a prostitute.
I would always pretend that I'm a prostitute, yes.
So I was in Ukraine about a year before the war started. I've never been to Russia, and I've been to Ukraine twice already. But that time it was actually a story that I was doing about, we were looking at the growth of white supremacy in the United States.
Okay.
And how some Americans were fleeing, where sort of this movement existed also in Ukraine, and we were after an American sort of white supremacist. And it was interesting to me, we were staying at a hotel, and they had a lovely bar at this hotel, and I'd love to have my little nightcap before I go to bed with my team, and we talk about the things that happened that day. And I know this is a thing because I've known people who've traveled to former Soviet countries and to Russia. But the amount of sex workers at that bar, they were beautiful women.
Yes, stunning.
And this was a bar also with a lot of diplomats and foreigners.
Of course.
And now I'm thinking, and at the time I guess I didn't think, but it makes total sense. This is the best if you want to have somebody to get information.
Thank you.
So you think that there's a good chance that a lot of these women, or at least some, right?
80% probably there are actually collaborating with secret intelligence.
That makes so much more sense to me.
Sometimes also, this is also kind of like just information for audience to understand how does it work. Sometimes the secret intelligence wouldn't particularly hire, someone. They would actually get, let's say, a prostitute who is well connected, who has certain clients. Who have, let's say, targets,
right?
Politician, ambassadors, whatever. And they would literally give her an order or like give her a task. She cannot say no, for example. If you won't do that, you'll go to jail. If you won't do it, something happened with your kids or like with your family members. So you can't say no. And again, like you're a patriot, work for your country. So anyway, it's your client. While you will have a fun, blah, 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 get this information or maybe check his suitcase or like finds out this one, check his phone or whatever. So sometimes these girls, they're sort of like not particular agents, but they collaborate with secret intelligence. And that's what I said. And I will not mention names because they are very famous female celebrities in the world. But sometimes they also would operate through these celebrities. So celebrity, like
American celebrities?
No, Russians.
Okay.
So for example, she's already established celebrity. She's, has her, fan base, blah, blah, blah. They would also, the secret intelligence would say, okay, this and this person, or you're connected with this person. We need this information. Why don't you get this information for us? And you'll continue your amazing, beautiful celebrity career.
And you don't even need to train them. They're already in the position that they are.
Exactly. They already have that. Right. They already have this fan base. They already have these connections. I don't know, have you ever heard, but this is a fascinating story. I always think that this is explanation of a proper sex espionage honey trap to understand what is it. So Einstein, going back to that time, when Einstein was helping and had a friendship with Oppenheimer.
This is Einstein, the German American
scientist.
Sorry,
yeah, remarkable. Remarkable.
The genius, basically.
A genius. But that time there was a female young lady who sort of fell in love with Einstein, and obviously he fell in love. He called her muse, his muse. So they started to live together. They basically became a couple. This Russian beauty, young beauty, would obviously escort her sort of husband, Einstein, to a house for evenings, gatherings, whatever, to Oppenheimer house, where, of course, they were discussing how they create and build a nuclear weapon. What happened, Stalin basically was getting all this information from this female Russian.
She was an agent?
Of course. And so she was passing all this information about nuclear weapon, which was actually created by the Oppenheimer, to Soviet Union government. And they actually there's actually, they built it in 2 years, which actually takes 4 years. The Soviet Union government, because they literally
Based on
stole
information
it.
they got from a
They
spy.
stole it.
Right.
This is what is sexpionage. A long-term relationship in order to get information, blah, blah. Your target would never even know that he is, through his connections or conversations or wherever, would give this important information to, government.
Right. And it's still being used, and it's used a lot right now.
Absolutely. That's what's happening in Silicon Valley.
Before we get there, so you're in the academy and you start learning. And at this point, when did you figure out that you were going to be hand selected? And why do you think you were hand selected to do this sort of sexpionage?
I think why I was being selected, because I was very naive and I was very young. I was 18. Besides, they have a precise parameters. Future female agents have to be young. Obviously, even the height should be not less than 5'6". IQ.
How tall are you?
I'm 169, which is 5'6", 5'7", I guess, like something like this. I don't know really like American measurement, but like, yes.
And you're beautiful for people who can't see you.
Thank you. But beauty really, again, like there were some girls who naturally were not beautiful, but they made them to be beautiful. Lose some weight because of like physical trainings. They teach you how to do makeup. They teach you how to keep the posture. They teach you how to walk. Mesmerizing walk, like this seductress that every man would turn like, and look at her.
And they taught you how to do all this.
Of course, but it's so I'm trying to explain your audience, and especially women, it's not about the appearance, like your physical appearance which you were born. It's about your charisma. It's
how you
all
present
about,
yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Like how confident you are. There's so many little things which like actually like I teach women now, like I share this stuff because I want women to feel confident. That's all I want. But it's not about just physical appearance. So it's how you present yourself. Also, how you can keep up with conversation, right? You have to be like, smart enough, but also you need to back up your intelligence because you want the man think that he is smart, and this is the most important.
You have to laugh at their jokes.
Exactly. You need to stroke his ego to make him feel good, to make him feel like powerful next to you, right? That's what you do. And this is part of the art seduction. The art of seduction. You as an agent need to make him to feel like he has a desire to give you something, not just presence or wherever, but also information, not just trust, but he wants to share what's happening in his job or in his life because it's his desire to share his life with you. How do you do it? It's also art of seduction. And there are like lots of little things. And it's not just in the beginning when you just like, adapting yourself to your target, but it's also how you lead the whole relationships into this, into this point where your target become completely like obsessed and attached, and he cannot even imagine his life without you. Of course, sex is one of the biggest rewards, and it's very powerful thing. And of course, there are like millions of different sex techniques and special oral techniques. And
they teach you all that, right?
Yes.
Or they taught you all this. They taught you how to give the best blowjob, and what else?
Yes. And basically,
is it okay to talk about this?
Yes,
if you
absolutely.
Don't feel comfortable?
No, it's okay. They mainly taught us how to spot every man's, let's say, fetishes. Every human being is different and unique. We all have unique bodies. We all have unique erogen sensitive spots in our bodies. How to find out, how to do and everything starts from a perfect massage. And how to do massage, not like just like with just massage, like Thai massage with happy ending. No, but how to find out these erogen zones and how to make them more sensitive and how to lead there, where the vein are coming to the private part of the man to make it more aroused, even without him understanding. Maybe with no, I don't want to kind of get there. It's too, but when, a spy, an experienced spy would know how to, point or touch these spots, he would be like, oh, she's quite sexy, la 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 la. So that's what I'm saying. It's not about your, physical appearance.
So being beautiful is not the most
Of
important
course,
part,
it's not
actually.
enough. Being beautiful is not enough at all. How many beautiful women do we know? And if they're not confident or whatever, like they're single, right? How many do we know? There's so many. And how many do we know that, oh, she's maybe overweight. She's maybe not that like pretty, like her face is not like blah, blah, blah. She's not perfect, but she's charismatic.
Right. So when they're recruiting, they're looking more for the charismatic, confident person and less about the physical attributes.
Not particularly, because they taught us. I was not confident. I was not charismatic at all. I know that I'm confident right now.
So what do you think they saw in you?
I
mean, apart from the fact that you're beautiful again. But.
Thank you. Easy tool to create. They were looking for stones, right? Raw stones, but they know how to craft mold them.
Is it tied to the idea of being wanting to please? Were you like a young person who was wanting to please and wanted to be liked, especially because of your background of being bullied?
Absolutely, 100%, yes. This is also, I would say, like the Soviet Union, and I see it through the history, why it was so big and powerful, why actually they won the second war. And I can tell that because like there were like over 20 million Russian soldiers that like killed, which is 3 times more than Germans, is because there is a very strong patriotic ideology. Rodina, which is motherland, and the Russian soil, like that soil which gave you birth, which raised you. And I don't know, it's a Russian DNA, Soviet Union DNA, where you're so attached to this patriotic ideology. And that's exactly what Vladimir Putin is doing right now, because this Ukraine war is a sacred war. And
it's about patriotism. It's about defending
our home,
our homeland,
our families, our children. Like, you have to go for a war to defend your mother and your child. Who wouldn't do that? You sacrifice yourself for this like ideology.
And you had that because you came from a family
Absolutely.
of patriots who had military experience, backgrounds, and so they believed that you would be the perfect tool for them.
Yes.
And at what point did just getting a little bit into the sort of darker side of it, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
When did it start getting very dark for you inside? Like, when did you start getting raped?
So when I came to the department, right? My first department, literally in 2 weeks, I was raped. And it was a total setup. Like, such a setup that my father, after receiving a call about alarm in the cities, he literally said to me, oh, you have to go to your department. And it was 8 p.m. because your colleague just called me. At that time, we didn't have smartphones. Of course, I was a teenager. And at the time, we didn't really have that. It was the beginning of 2000s. So it was a home phone. And then my father sends me to the department. I came to the department and there were like a few agents, my commanders, who literally took advantage of me being, first of all, virgin,
Was it more than one man who did it?
Yes.
At the same time?
No, the first time it was one man, and then after it was like basically the whole department eventually. So, I mean, what can you? I mean, I didn't know anything about sex. I didn't know anything about like relationship with men. I didn't know anything. I was nerdish, shy girl who would read Tolstoy and Dostoevsky in the evenings before going to bed and dreaming about the, fairy tale, whatever. And then this just happened in my life and I didn't even know how to accept it. But then I realized, and they told me, this is part of the training. They needed, and that's what they do. They dissociate your body from your emotions, where as a future female agent of sexpionage, you would never have any attachments to your target, because women, according to psychology, and of course, after first sex, they have attachment with men.
Right. So sex is not a place of love. It's actually a place of fear, I guess. And in this case, it's part of a mission.
Part of the mission, but it's almost like instinct. You want to go to the toilet, Same with sex, basically. It becomes like that.
Wow, that's so interesting. Has that, does that
affect my life very much?
exactly.
So I can even tell right now, like I am struggling having trustworthy relationships with men. I don't think I ever been in love, to be honest. And for me, sex is completely different from like having trust. So I can have sex and I have orgasms, and I'm always having orgasms with any man because I know how to please myself. But I never
You're very, very lucky. You always have orgasms.
You know, I studied in Kinsey Institute. They told us that 80% of females, they don't experience orgasms with their partners, which is awful.
That is awful.
And I know how to actually fix it. It's all about female body. Females need to learn their bodies. That's the whole thing. I would say masturbation is a new meditation. Learn your body, ladies, because your orgasm is your responsibility. You know, no man knows about your body. No man. You need to understand how does it work. And everybody is unique. So you need to understand, what do I like? And then tell to your partner, I like this.
Female empowerment too, right?
Yes, exactly. That's what I teach women. Exactly. So, but in my situation, yes, I don't experience any attachment, or I like
sex doesn't represent love for you, and is that it?
Unfortunately not. Maybe one day it will, but I'm working on that.
I mean, it doesn't shock me because of what you said happened to you. That is, I think, a very common reaction. At the time when you were first raped, did you think about telling your father?
So when I was raped, they told me, don't you dare tell to your dad, because first of all, you know what he will do. He eventually, it would be a fight, or somebody would get killed eventually, or whatever. And you don't want to have this kind of like blame and this embarrassment on your family, because your father has such a, you know, reputation in the city. So you don't want that. So you'd rather like, you know, close your mouth and don't say anyone.
And then, so you were raped repeatedly in this academy, and then you were moved to a new place, right?
So I was raped first in the department, and then I moved to the academy.
Right. And I thought you were handpicked to get moved to the academy, right?
No. It's so basically, all students, future agents, wherever they come, they come to the academy, they study, blah blah blah, and then just a few of them are handpicked. Okay, so for example, our course, the first year, right? The first course, there were about 350 students, and only 5 females, because I studied with them, were picked for this program. They would never call it sexpionage, honey trap program. No, they would never call us like a spy or like sex spy. They would call us, that's a special program for your department. You have to study certain techniques, certain subjects in order to go to your department and, you know, continue with your work. That's it. You're not allowed to share this information with anyone, including your family members. Everything you learn is, you know, is basically in these walls, confidential. And again, your body belongs to the state, belongs to the government. You do the right thing, which is you protecting civilians and you helping your country. And you have to be proud of that. And you have a huge honor because you were selected for this particular program.
Right. And at this point, you believed all of this.
Of course, I was like, I felt like, oh my God, I'm a privileged. You know, all these losers are there. No, of course not. But I felt like, okay, you know, like I'm studying something interesting, and then I find out that, oh wow, these techniques are so cool, because, you know, we study how to do makeup, we study how to be seductive, we study how to communicate with men. I haven't, you know, done all that. Like I haven't learned all that. Where actually would you find this information? Now you sort of have internet, but still, if you go and check internet about the spy techniques, such as I asked ChatGPT, there is nothing like that. What we've studied.
We should ask Perplexity. I think they're better. Can we ask Perplexity? Matt, where should I go if I want to? I wonder if they're going to mention your name. Where should I go if I wanted to learn about sexpionage? Oh wow, there's a lot.
Yeah.
To learn about sexpionage, the use of sexual allure in espionage, and the art of seduction, some of the best resources include museums, themed events, academic courses, and specialized literature. Spy museums and public events. Okay, so when Matt searched for the best people to search for, to look for when studying this, your name actually came up, a former Russian sex spy who now educates the public about manipulation and seduction tactics. But I guess before you, you'd have to go to a museum, occasionally short courses, lectures on sexpionage, which I'm sure there aren't a lot of courses such as espionage institutions.
Here you go.
Yeah.
I'm the first one.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like, okay, so I would tell you this. I know how I was before. Nervous, shy.
Not confident.
Not confident at all. I was in my victim mentality. Okay, the victim mentality where you feel always guilty or you have to do something for someone. You always prioritize everybody apart from yourself. That's how I was before enrolling into this special program. When I learned how to raise your self-esteem, self-love, and self-confidence, and self-love is what I'm talking about. It's becoming the best version of yourself. Because if you're not confident enough, how you possibly can seduce anyone, right?
Right. Absolutely. If you don't love yourself, how can you get people to love you?
Exactly.
Right?
So one of the technique, for example, literally every morning, I had to look to the mirror and tell myself how amazing I am. I have this, like, still even now, this ritual that there are like certain words. And when you look into the mirror, you smile at least 3 minutes to your reflection, because your brain thinks that if the body, like if the face is smiling, so it means that it's something positive. So brain creates endorphin hormones, which obviously gives you positive mood. And at the same time, you tell yourself how amazing you are. And at the same time, it's auditory anchor you put into your brain. At the same time, I use this finger. This is my anchor of on the body of my confidence. Yeah, if I feel like a little bit like anxiety or something, I pick that.
You hold on to your pinky?
This is my anchor, but you can place anchor in any part of your bodies. And whenever you feel like, something is going wrong or something, or you feel like anxiety, you basically remind yourself that I'm confident, everything is good, I'm here. You ground yourself. And also, again, if you feel anxiety or something, or you're in a very stressful situation, 333. 3 things to see. So I spot like painting, table, chair. 3 things you hear. I hear like your voice, I hear my voice, I hear the camera working, and 3 things to feel. So the surface of the table, like the fabric on my coat, or like, the glass. So 333. It's literally grounds you, and it's kind of like helps you to have an inner support.
It's a form of meditation almost, right?
Sort of, but this is like really what secret intelligence agents use. There are like many techniques like that, but this is one of the most popular. Actually, psychologists also use the same techniques for the clients, especially when they're in this like, stressful anxiety mode or whatever. But we learned all these techniques, which actually makes you to believe and program your brain that you are the best in like whatever you do. And with this confidence, with this like, position, you carry yourself into the mission, because like Tsanzi said, you need to win the war, the fight mentally before an actual fight. It's exactly like this. And for athletes, it works exactly like this. Visually, like a manifestation, they call it, like modern thing. You need to leave this future mission and win inside in your brain before you actually going and doing that. Because you have to be confident that you can do it. If you will have any doubts, you'll fail.
Yeah, I think optimism is very I'm a big optimist. I always believe in that things are going to turn out okay, and that, and especially working in a world where it's almost like my job is almost impossible, which is trying to get people who work in the criminal underworld to talk to me. And so often, I think it's normal to doubt. I mean, there's no way this person, I'm going to be able to enter, gain access to this underworld. But I think that one reason why I can do it is because I've always been so positive and I always believe this is going to happen, this is going to happen. I think that actually manifests itself somehow.
Yeah, because of your
into
aura and your energy. So we exchange the energy, right? Like if your
Right.
energy is like optimistic and positive, like I feel it too. So in your aura, we kind of like we feel that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like relaxed and calm and
Right.
like open, open with you. But if you would have like a bad mood or something, I would spot it, I would read it, I would scan it. So I would also close up myself.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
we're all connected.
So is that something also they train you on, reading
Absolutely.
people?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is number one.
Right.
Yes.
Well, so you're there, you're learning all of this. There's one lesson in particular, not to get too granular, but to get too granular again, which is when you got, which I listened to you talking about this, which is one day you get to the academy and you have all these tables and they all have 3 objects on top of the table, right?
You mean like sexual objects?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you tell us what they were?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, how does it work? The perfect spy blowjob, right? There are many different things you can do, and that's the most important part of man's body. And if you know how to please it, if you know how to make it, to have ejaculation, that's one of the most important skill any woman can have. And there are like many techniques, but one of the most important is, I'm sorry to be very open, but I don't know how to call it any other way. So deep throat technique is one of the most desirable thing any man can and want to have. And there's certain...
And they teach you how to do that.
They teach you how to do it, but there's certain things you have to know before actually doing it. Otherwise, it will be painful for man. And also, it can be painful for your throat. Or you can actually have a gargle effect, or you can actually like even throw up. And that's why we had this sort of like dildos and practice on that.
Right. So the table had a dildo. It
Yes.
had condoms, right?
Condoms and lubricant.
Right.
So basically, what like you need to do in order to have this, like in order to perform the deep throat, is basically to learn how to place the part onto your top of the mouse. When you put it
you're
on
actually going to teach us here. Okay.
I'm just like,
no, go for it.
It's just like, just to explain, because like this is also, because like now like every woman is like, okay, husband, get ready, I'll do it for you. I just want to say like it's there are techniques to learn before doing that, because otherwise your husband would hate it and would blame you that you're doing something. No, but seriously, like it can cause like even trauma. So when you do it, try it maybe at least on cucumber, banana, or like even like just like a plastic dildo, because like before performing on human body, because it can be really painful. So it has to go on top of your mouth, and at the same time you do like breathe in, and then you swallow it. Only with this position. And also your head has to be, it has to be like 90 degrees angle. Otherwise, if you do like any other angle, it will be painful for you then. And also like the best position. So, I mean, sometimes like, in porn, like women are laying on the bed and then the man on top of her, like, basically doing this kind of like oral sex. But no, because like you can also hurt yourself like really badly because of these positions. And like you may have problem with throat. So it's better to do like just a normal position where you sit and he stands. For example, this is like 90 degrees.
Wow. This is why I love this podcast, is because I never thought I'd be having these conversations with anyone.
I mean, right? Like Press calls me a former sex spy. So that's what that's what I teach, right? No, not just that. But again,
So this is the type of thing that you were taught.
Yes. Right. But if you know how to please your man, I mean, you're so confident, right? You have these skills, like, all this, techniques. You would go to any date and be so confident that any man would literally instantly feel your vibe, because you're confident, you're positive, you're outgoing, you like, You know you're the best.
So your first operation, did you feel like that? Did you feel confident? How did it go?
The first operation, oh, thank God I didn't have sex, because I actually manipulated the target with his family, and he had a newborn baby. So if you want to kind of like, again, manipulate your target or like anyone and kind of like be close to the target. So what I did, I actually were speaking about his newborn baby, where he wouldn't get hard, basically, because we're talking about his kid, you know.
And in this situation, you were pretending to be a prostitute, right? You met at the bar, and your mission was that you had to give him an envelope or something?
Yes. Right? So imagine it was like basically what you described in Ukraine, beautiful hotel. Right. So they're like, you know, all these workers, like sex workers. So I pretend to be one of the worker because I had to pass the envelope, and literally I had to be in his room.
And so your mission was to give him or to place an envelope inside his briefcase.
Yes, yes.
Got it. And so you had to figure out a way to get to his bedroom. And then once you got to his bedroom, you were smart and you didn't actually have to have sex with him.
Yeah, because I was talking constantly about his newborn baby. And of course he couldn't get hard because of these family conversations. But, you know, sometimes men, what they just need, sometimes they just need someone to listen to them. And I gave them this sort of like space.
Yeah, that is so true. I once did a story about sex trafficking, and we spoke to a few of the Johns, the people that get prostitutes. And one of the things that surprised me was hearing how they talked about how very, very often they actually hire sex workers, but then they don't actually have sex with them. They just want to have somebody to hold them, to talk to them, to like, you know, caress them and have physical contact without the actual sex, which is so important. And sometimes it's missing in marriages or in a person's life.
Yeah, that's what we want, like as a human beings. And I think like this is especially for men, because men have to be strong. They have to like, you know, pretend like I'm always like get it, like, you know, it's okay. Like I don't need all this romantic, you know, kisses and caressing and whatever, but they really do. They're still little boys, like mommy's voice, and they need like this, like, you know, mommy, like, you know, this nurturing energy of female to tell them everything is good. I believe in you. You can do it. Let me hug you. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's interesting. So in the first operation that you had to have sex, what was that like for you?
After this one with this guy. So, well, I supposed to have sex with him. I didn't because I don't know. I was grossed out or whatever. I don't know. I was like, I'm not ready yet. Oh, and then my first mission where I had sex, it was that guy from the Russian banya, the sauna with this like, but he was kind of cool, I would say. He was young. He was young, very sexy criminal, you know,
what was
like
the
bad boy.
There?
The mission, well, unfortunately, then he died. So the mission was for me to actually get to his body, because he always had security and a lot of people around him. And basically my team would finish him, and I just had to get closer to him as much as I could.
And then you would communicate with your team to come in when he was ready?
Yeah, they were following us and waiting for us. So I basically was in the club pretending that I'm like, not like particular prostitute, but one of the like go girls, you know, like easy peasy and like, oh, let's have fun, let's have drugs, blah, 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 and let's have sex, you know, this sort of women. And I picked him up from the club, yet he was with enormous amount of beautiful girls and all that, and I had to do it. So I picked him up, we went to the sauna, like, which is like Russian saunas. Right. They have rooms and they have saunas and they have massage and like everything. So I was doing massage on him, blah, blah, perform the intercourse. And when he was like in his very bliss moment or whatever, I let my team in and they basically finished the whole operation.
What kind of a criminal was he?
Okay, so there are a few things he did bad. So I would say he was very young, sexy criminal, but he was bad. So he was the one who actually supplied drugs and guns in an enormous amount. But he was the lead towards the my main mission, which was Vladimir. He was working with them.
So Vladimir explained that. So Vladimir was the leader of a gang that was bringing in drugs from Afghanistan to Russia, correct?
And then from Russia to Europe, It was like enormous amount,
And they wanted you to sort of infiltrate and get close to Vlad. But this is where I understand how it is So I understand the benefits of using sex spies.
Yeah.
Because particularly female sex spies, because men are
become
just
like-
very weak. And,
Yeah.
there are millions of stories out there of men's lives being destroyed because they think with another body part instead of their minds. So I understand that. But in this case, this is an actual known criminal, a trafficker, a drug trafficker. Why not just go after him through law enforcement? Why use sex spies?
They could just kill him, no problem, right? Just assassination and whatever. But they didn't want to. Why? Because apparently my second commander, with whom I had really bad, relationships, because I just hated him so much. Because
Is this the guy who also forced you to have sex with him?
he was the second my commander. With that one I had to have sex and continue relationships.
Who was also having a relationship with a major?
Yes. So that one I had to, because I didn't have any other options, and besides I was not strong enough to actually do something, so I was continuing that relationship. First of all, he was a bad commander. Second, he was dealing
one. You mean
the new one. Second, I found out that he was, and not like me, the whole department knew, he was actually working with criminals where he would cover them and taking the bribe.
So this was a new person that was sort of in charge, that was your boss, right?
Right. So
and you found out that he was corrupt.
So basically, he was the one who wanted to put, instead of Vladimir, his person who would continue bringing, because Vladimir wanted to legalize himself. He wanted to become businessman. Because as you know, after Perestroika, after this 1991 fall, USSR fall, there was time where criminals basically legally bought for $5 or for $1 enormous amounts of government soil and factories and whatever. So
they were trying to restart the economy and grow the economy. And,
they basically stole from the government. They call it
privatization.
Privatization. But come on, they bought it for $1 for $5, which actually the worst is 50 million or whatever, very expensive stuff, right? So these criminals, then whoever could make it up with Vladimir Putin became oligarchs, right?
Right. Vladimir Putin's friends became oligarchs, so they became very rich owners of
this privatized
industry,
sort of industries, right? So my criminal lord, my target, he wanted to become that oligarch eventually. He wanted to kind of legitimize his businesses. That's why he wanted to get away from the drugs, right? Because he had money enough, right, from this operations.
From the drug trafficking,
And then he wanted to move into being a businessman, because he understood that otherwise he would be killed eventually. It's a really dangerous road where he's going. My commander on another side didn't want to, because he was receiving a lot of money from these operations, from covering this whole drug dealing operation. So my commander sends me as a bait, knowing that anyway this mission would be messed up eventually, where he wouldn't predict that Vladimir would really fall in love and establish a really strong bond with me. Vladimir were protecting me. My commander on another side were pushing his protege, which was also Vladimir's former friend that time, his very best friend, but then became former friend. And this guy wanted to become the authority, the main leader of the gang. Okay, my commander gave up my name to criminals, telling that I'm the mole. Criminals.
So your mission was to get close to Vladimir, who was running this drug trafficking operation.
Yeah.
And while doing this and starting to share, and you got very close to Vladimir, right?
We started to basically live 24/7.
Wow. So you were living with him. You guys, had you fallen in love with him?
I guess not.
But he had fallen in love with you.
Yes, absolutely.
And he had no idea, obviously, that you were an agent, and you were sharing the information with your boss.
Yes, to my not this boss, another boss of my department.
Right.
Where my department goes and literally confiscate drugs, arrest criminals, blah, blah, blah.
And then the commander, your direct boss, who is not happy, he doesn't want to end the drug trafficking ring because he can make a lot of money from it, or he is making money from it. He goes and shares information about you and tells the gang, she is the mole. She's
Yes,
how we're getting information.
because the gang was really upset and angry because they were losing a lot of money and drugs during Vladimir's leadership.
Right. So
Vladimir is bad. We need to rid of him. But how? He's the leader. They don't just, okay, you are fired. We hire another one. No, leader has to be killed. But there should be a reason why they need to kill their leader who actually built the whole gang, right?
Right.
So my commander, the bad guy, makes all this strategy, all this setup in order for criminals eventually to kill Vladimir and having a reason why they want to kill him. And one of the reasons was me.
Right, as a mole, yeah.
As a mole. Because of me, they lost money and drugs. Because of me.
And so they ended up killing him?
Yes.
Who did? His gang ended up killing him?
His own brothers, friends with whom he ate, slept, and raised them and everything. Yes.
And how did you react to that?
I felt like I lost the only one support I had that time, because I was completely devastated and disappointed about the whole system, because I realized this strategy I just told you, and I realized how corrupted is it, and I realized that I've been used and manipulated all this time, and I just lost any desire or any sort of romanticism about my profession. At that time, I just understood that I was manipulated by the ideology of saving kids and saving women and bringing justice. I understood that it was all manipulation alongside, and the most important for even, my commanders that time was money. Money and power, and they didn't even look at us agent as human beings. They use it as tools,
Yeah, I mean, after everything you went through, the rapes, the sacrifices, the trauma, and you're still sort of convincing yourself that you're doing this for the good of your country and to go after criminals.
Yeah.
And then you realize just how corrupt the system was on the inside.
Yes.
And that people were just wanting to make money on the backs of the trauma of people like you.
Yeah. But I mean, yes, but it's still, I think, unfortunately, it's one of the human sins, right? Desire for money and power.
And is that when you then decided you wanted to leave?
I decided that I want my freedom. I was not particular about wanting to leave or whatever, but I definitely didn't want to work at the same department. I definitely didn't want to have the same life which I had. I wanted different circumstances, different situations, but I wanted my freedom. I wanted to be free out of that darkness which I saw.
And how difficult or easy was it to leave?
They don't allow any assets to leave. So I would say this, for many years I was still in a sort of trap. But America, God bless America. Honestly, I lived in so many countries. It's with my son, it was insane. And
So did you have to flee Russia? Is that how it worked?
I had to flee Russia not because of the secret intelligence. I had to flee Russia because of the criminals, because they were targeting me still.
Oh, right. The same criminals that killed Vladimir.
Yeah, because they were devastated. I mean, okay, they killed one person, but actually they wanted to kill me. So in the fact that Vladimir saved me and helped me to escape, they still were trying to target me.
Oh, wow.
And then
I didn't know Vladimir had helped you escape at the time. Where to initially?
That's the guy who, the friend of his childhood, the one who was not criminal. He put me into the car in the night after we spoke with him. And this sort of driver friend drove me away to another city, where he gave me sort of a safe house where I stayed for a few months, and I didn't even go anywhere apart from just pharmacy and grocery store.
What year was this, by the way?
It was 2006.
Okay.
So that's it. And I was just even scared to even go anywhere. And then eventually Vladimir was the one who gave me telephone numbers of people, his friends in Turkey, and then in Europe, in Greece, in Switzerland, and I moved to I didn't move to Turkey. I went to Turkey first, and then from Turkey to Greece, and then Switzerland. So that's how I started my way to live abroad.
And you've been here in the U.S. for
only
5 years
now? Yeah, because I couldn't go anywhere else. I couldn't go back to Russia. So I was like, let me go, unless I could go to Turkey, for example. There was like non-visa entrance. So I was like, okay, let me go to United States and see like, what can I do? I come to United States, get a really good migration lawyer, tell him the whole situation with me. He goes, I would suggest you to go public in United States and reveal your identity and your past. And literally same time, COVID's happening. So it gave me some time not to be like, nobody would like literally kick me out from the country because it's COVID, everything is, closed and blah, blah. And then the Ukraine war started. So that was my first move where I actually gave my interview about Ukrainian war and about my identity, my past identity. Then, because I revealed that and it went public and viral, I even didn't know it would become so viral eventually. My migration lawyer actually said that you kind of like kill two birds in one shot, because number one, you sort of like give yourself insurance protection under United States government. Second, that was my way out to completely cut off any connections with the Russian government, because I literally revealed myself and my identity.
I understand that, but it could also make you the perfect spy right now, right? You could
I don't want to be doing this anymore.
No, but you know what I mean? Right? A former spy who defected can also make for the perfect spy, right?
That would be a good thing, a good plot for a movie. Some people actually, it's so funny, like some people like write comments in Instagram or whatever, they say like, oh, this is a perfect cover. This is a perfect cover. You can be still a spy. Like, oh my God.
Right. Yeah, I know that's probably not what you want to do at all, and you've moved past all that.
I'm too old for that.
Yeah. So can we go real quick about like all the, while researching you, and I've spent the last few days looking into your story, there's a lot of people, like I said, who really do not believe that you're the real thing, that your story is real. I mean, to the point where I actually had doubts whether I should even have you on, because this.
Oh, it's working.
This is a platform for me where I have honest conversations with people, and I thought, I'm going to speak. I appreciate and thank you for coming and accepting this invitation, but I also didn't want to spend all this time with you talking about a story that I myself had doubts.
Yes.
And I think for me, apart from the comments, and I'd like to, if you don't mind, address some of them with you, and you can talk. First of all, I thought a lot of the stories I read were very superficial. So I myself started having some doubts. I was like, that you didn't really, I hadn't listened to the podcast at this point, and I thought you haven't really gotten into a lot of details. And I understand, obviously, there's protection about your life, and there's stuff information that you just can't share.
Yeah.
But then I came across the Vice story, which I'm sure you've seen.
Of course. I mean, that was a story of the stories.
Right. So the Vice story, for people who haven't seen it, which was basically...
I wouldn't want to do the advertisement because they make money on this story,
Right. But it's my due diligence as a journalist to go and look into that. And it's a journalist, female journalist. She came here. She spent time with you. You guys became close. She liked you very much. And she says that she likes you throughout, but that she has a lot of doubts about who you are. And she confronts you with certain things, like the photo, for example. You showed her a photo of you supposedly when you were in the military. She did a reverse search of the photo and realized that it wasn't a photo taken. It's not you. It was taken 10 years after you said you left Russia.
Yes.
So what do you say to that?
Oh, very, very honest. And I actually have behind the scene videos when my manager actually was taking it. They literally, and I don't know why it was like that, but like I felt like this was my first
big interview, right? Or big chance
not like
to talk
it was
to
my
me.
actually first video when I actually revealed my identity.
Right.
They literally gave me this video, this photo, and said like, "Can you please say it?"
Vice gave you that photo.
Literally like that. And then they literally, I provided them photos, which probably you saw in the internet, like the real photos, me wearing the uniform, taking the oath. They like...
The one with the boots, where you're wearing boots?
Yeah, they cut off completely that part. So everything I was sharing, the reality and everything what I was selling, like the whole truth, the whole interview, they cut it out. They I would say like right now, they probably like set me up, they intentionally set up all these things.
So you were saying that they gave you that photo and made you say that that was you, so they could shed your...
Like
so I have a hard time believing that. have to tell you, because I work with a lot of vice people in the past, and as a journalist myself, I really have a hard time that they would, what would be their intention?
Okay, so as much as I understood, so this producer, I will not tell the name, or should I? I don't know, even like, I don't want
the woman, the female, the correspondent.
No, female, she's the host.
The host, okay, the producer behind.
The producer behind it, right.
You can say the name.
Well, I can say.
Or if you want to, you don't
I don't want to do, okay, like, yeah, why not? So Adrian, I actually forgot his surname. Adrian,
okay.
He contacts me after, like, I think like New York Post or something, or The Sun. We want to film, like, we follow you on Instagram, you do amazing things, you support women, you've been a secret agent, we want to film like all these things, how you actually got from point A to point B. We will be in LA just like in a few weeks. Why don't we do interview with you, video interview? I'm like, okay. What are you? What's going on in your life right now? I that time I was hosting a fashion event with one of my friends who actually does the military sort of like collection, and it was LA Fashion Week, so it was very kind of like normal. So I'm like, okay, I'm having this event, perfect. We want to film it, blah blah. They're like, can we film in your house? I'm like, you cannot film in my house because my son underage, he is in the house. Okay, can you rent a place where we can film? Or can you have any friends house where we can film? I said, look, well, I don't have any friends with houses. No, but we need particular house. And like, I have all these messages, all this WhatsApp, which I can show right now and prove it.
So what happened in the story, and which is the journalist goes into the house. She says that the house was that you had pretended this was your house.
She asked me, can you please say that you live here? Because we create this story, like we want to empower women, we want to show like how, like, you know,
right, and it was a huge multi-million-dollar mansion.
It wasn't. It was just like a rent house, which I actually sent them some rental things, and I said like, which one would you like me to rent? This one, this one, this one, because like I can rent like, you know, on hourly basis, and I have this WhatsApp messages here in my phone right now. I can show it to you.
You can prove, and maybe I'll see them after.
Yes.
You can show how they perfectly well knew that this was a rental house and not your home.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this conversation. Then I'm like, okay, they arrived too late. I'm like, okay, so this is the plan. I rent the house. Great. Then I have this event. Great. We'll come and film there. Who will be at the event? I say like, well, at the event will be guests. Some people I know, some people plus one. Okay. Then they film the whole thing. Then they ask interviews from people.
Right.
They cut parts where, do you know who is she? They don't have any idea who I am. They just came, they saw me first time.
Right. So the way that it's portrayed is that you talk about how you have a big PR company and you have all these events.
Yes.
And then they go to one of these events, and when they get there, they realize that it's all paid actors or not paid actors, but they're not actual people who work with you, right? That's what they
they said like she has fake friends. But the question is like how bad journalism is if these people are not my friends. They are guests. This is plus
and you
ones.
never pretended that they were your friends.
Of course not. Like I said, like there will be like about 100 people, maybe like 80 people, some guests, like somebody I know, somebody of someone's friends. So of course they're not my friends.
That I find it more believable. The idea that they got there, they were expecting one thing, and then they started interviewing people, and they used that as a way to show that maybe there were sort of holes in your story. I also understand, I have filmed lots of times in Airbnbs, and there have been situations where we don't reveal it's an Airbnb. We also don't pretend it's somebody's house, but I think maybe things got sort of messy there.
Because they wanted particular, so they had like a schedule. They like wanted particular house, my house, like filmed in my house.
And you didn't want to.
I couldn't invite them to my house.
Course,
I have like a little kid. I mean,
right.
like, come on. And they're like, okay, can you like rent something? So then first of all, they pushed me to rent something, which I actually didn't want to because I didn't want to spend money, or like, why would I need to spend my own money to rent? Like if they want to, they can rent them themselves. Right. So eventually, okay, we really need it. Please, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay, I rented. Then they come like, can you please tell it this is your house? I think like there was a question of this, like, oh, this is your house, so do you live here, or blah, blah, blah. Then they go to the military photos. I showed them the photos which I have my military photos, they didn't even use it. They cut it out. They didn't use the whole interview. They didn't. They show like the only one picture which was over there. They said like the question was different. They cut it out. They edited it. The question was, is it the way of the military agents looks like? I said like this is like the way it is or something like this, and I particularly showed that this photo, and then I showed another 3 pictures which I had with me, and I sent them to email to kind of like use it for the footage, which they never did because they asked me, yes, please send us everything, and they never did use it. This was the second part, right? After this, we go to this event. In the event, they ask people who obviously don't know me because they just come to the event. They just come to drink and have fun.
But the journalist confronts you about this photo at the beach. That was one of the last scenes.
Yeah.
And she tells you, we searched the photo, and the photo's from 2017, and it's not from when you say it was. In that case, why didn't you have that answer? Why didn't you say, actually, this is definitely not me in this photo, and I never pretended it was?
Yes, right. So when we were sitting in the beach, there was like 2 or 3 hours conversation, like a really big conversation and so on. When she asked me about these photos, like I think like the question, I even don't remember. I didn't watch it for so long. Like I think it was out like 3 years ago or something. So something along the line, where were you? Okay, I remember now. There was a misunderstanding with years because they found somewhere information that in 2009 or something, I was in Russia or like doing MTV or something.
Right, there was an MTV thing too. Yeah,
that was wrong because I actually did that, but it was much earlier when I was still in Russia, because they were saying that there was a confusion with ages, with years. Like you were like 18, then 20, then you moved here, you moved there. Why does it say somewhere, I think like in internet, does it say that 2009 or 2012, I don't remember it, you were in MTV? Well, where I wasn't. I was much earlier in MTV because we did like one video there. So the whole thing started from there. With photos again, like I think it was only one question, like were you something like, was it like something similar like this or something like that?
I think the question from her was, we checked this photo, we did a Google reverse search, image search, and it was taken in 2017, so it's 10 years after you left, or more than 10 years. So
yes,
this
so
is not possibly you.
Yes.
So why did you pretend it was you? And you didn't have an answer for that. And I'm not.
No. Yes. No, I am. No, because I know that the truth is on my side, and I know I was like set up from the beginning, and I know why they were doing this, because I understood. I realized after when I spoke with them, because I was like, what, like guys, like what the heck? And they're like, this is our first documentary for Vice. We like need to make it big. We need like to make it more provocative. Blah 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 blah. My mistake was not to ask to see it before the release, because I could ask that.
That's not usually done. I film with even criminals all around the world, and we never show the footage as a journalist.
But then they're supposed to sign press release or something.
You sign a release before, an appearance release before, but you sort of trust the journalists that they're going to portray you in a fair and balanced way, right?
Exactly. So I trust the journalists who actually portrayed me in a really bad way.
Right. And you have not been in touch with this journalist ever since?
No, I did. I actually said to them, like, I had the mails. He blocked me because, like, we had, like, conversations on WhatsApp. I'm like, Adrian, why would you do this? Like, why would you portray me this way? It will harm all my other, like, basically ideas of, like, helping women and, like, being, like,
and has it harmed you?
Well, of course it does. I lost a big deal with the book company or with the book publisher. Of course it does. Of course, like, they literally, like, really ruined my whole beginning. Of course.
Yeah, I don't want to like harp on the photo. I think that there was some sort of unanswered questions there, but I do wonder, why do you think people have such a hard time believing in your story?
Because it's very easy, because people don't know what this profession is about. That's why we are doing what we are doing right now with books, with TV series, with documentaries I'm working right now. Just simple. People don't know what is this job. Like they see these movies about James Bond, they see these movies about Red Sparrow. They think this is all fantasy, it's all scripted, whereas in fact, it's the reality. But because it's secret profession, it's secret intelligence, right? You're supposed not to know that. But it's only because of this profession, actually, people sleep at night,
Right.
normally in the house in a warm bed. It's because of secret agents who are protecting them from terrorist attacks.
Right. Yeah, and I know that it's real. I know this, and actually brings me back to that Times of London article, which came out recently, and you've been asked to talk in the press about it. So the article talked about Chinese and Russian sex warfare, right? And explained how the Chinese, and especially the Chinese, but also the Russian government, are using, essentially the story you told, are using women for honey traps to get information from Silicon Valley tech companies, which can be really damaging to the economy. And
$600 billion U.S. taxpayers lose. I mean, it's a big amount of money.
So, yeah, that's a number that I came across that blew my mind, too, which was, up to $600 billion a year are lost to theft of trade secrets in America, to Americans, basically.
It's our money.
Right. And so, that I definitely know that exists. I think maybe the part that I think is harder for people to believe, and that's what I wanted you also to address, is the idea that knowing that there have been so many defectors who have been killed, the fact that you not only, that you're now sharing your story publicly and so openly, but also you've become an influencer. You have lots of followers online. Like there's not a lot of your past that you're even trying to hide. And why would you want to do that? And isn't that incredibly risky? And aren't you afraid that you'll be killed for doing it?
So I became influencer before I revealed my past. Actually, I moved to London 2000. So my son was like 4 years old, which was 2016, I guess, right? 16 or 15. I moved to London. I always dreamed to work in fashion. So I got enrolled into top fashion universities to do my master's degree in fashion PR, which I did successfully. And the first homework task was to create an Instagram and do the blog about fashion. And if people will scroll back, if they would want to, they will see that the first post is about me being an Istituto Marangoni and starting. This is my first post. And then I posted all about fashion. I became an influencer in London as a fashion influencer. I was a fashion journalist. I still write about fashion, but I work for Tatler, for Condé Nast, for Venti, and so on. I've organized a lot of fashion events like, galas and dinners and fashion shows and so on in London and Paris. So I already became an influencer there. I had to leave UK because I just previously said why. I come to United States. And again, as I said, my lawyer said, if you want to stay in the United States legally, you have to reveal about your past. You have to go public. You have to, because of also Ukrainian war and everything, you have to, it's better for you
to
reveal.
The lawyer told you that,
It's not just only one lawyer. Believe me, I had at least like 5 good lawyers and I was having consultation with them and all that. And they all told me the same.
So the best way to protect yourself is to come clean about your story and your spy past, your past as a spy.
Yeah, because as you remember, 2010, active female agents like Anna Chapman, Maria Baturin, and other like 5 or 6 or whatever, they were deported from United States to Russia. And we even don't know if they were actually, if they ever were proven that they were real spies or not, because like there were like some stuff, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know if they're real active agents or not, who knows. But if you like see the Anna Chapman story, she was deported as they said like, oh, she's active female agents, honeypot agent. They deported her to Russia And she's now like also, you can say the same, influencer, TV host. She has like her TV show on the, one of the biggest networks. She is a fashion model. She works like fashion runway shows. She's like ambassador for different brands and so on. Here you go. Oh, she just wrote the book, blah, blah, blah. So question is, I know so many former CIAs, agents who also wrote books, who became public speakers, who became public figures. Same story. And the thing
but
is,
it's different because they're not going to Russia and defecting and talking about the trade secrets of what's happening. And I know you mentioned that you're not actually talking about the trade secrets. The stuff that you're talking about is stuff that's general knowledge, right? You're not giving information that can be harmful to the Russian government. But then again, they trained you and then you left and they invested in you and then you defected.
No,
so
but but the message was like, okay, so if I would just like, if I would just like quit right now, maybe yes. But I actually finished like many years ago.
Right.
So I'm not that important asset anymore. This is number one. Number two, they say from two evils, you choose the less one, right? So I had two options when I came to America. Either I would be deported because of my past to Russia, and what would happen with me there, we don't know. Most likely, that would be the end.
Dangerous. Yeah,
that was the most dangerous. Yeah. And second, I would reveal my identity and sort of like balance in United States, where it's still risky, but it's less evil. If it does make sense.
Yeah, I understand that. And that was advice that your lawyers gave you that you should?
100%.
And have you been contacted by the Russian government ever since you came out?
I've been 2 times. During the Ukraine war.
Yeah.
Like literally in the beginning with the same thing, like come back. We have like, apartment for you where you can live with your son. We will give you the car. You'll be a good asset. Come back and work.
This was when you first came out as a spy?
It was just before, it was just beginning of Ukraine. It was just beginning. And it was before I actually started to like share publicly about myself, like very publicly. And the second time, it was one contact when To Die For podcast was released. And actually, it was not the FSB or whatever. It was kind of like who worked there before, but now he's like civilian, but he's still kind of like
retired, but still connected to the.
I don't know if he's like retired to like not really, like probably like just like left or whatever, but kind of like sending information, like sending a message, like. But no, like kind of like oh, if you will not come back to Russia, we'll give you not something like that. But like with a lot of like, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you like shouldn't go. Like maybe you should like just leave this thing and just close your Instagram and just like change your name and just move to Ohio, like Alabama, and just live another life.
Are you scared at all?
Well, I'm scared for the future of my son, for my parents. I'm not scared for my life, simply it's because of, I would say like this. I have not so many emotions in my body, unfortunately. And I don't have any fears, if you understand what I mean. Like, I simply don't. I'm careful with what I'm doing in my life. So, for example, I don't allow myself to drive fast, which I love. Or I don't allow myself to do extreme things, which I love, just for my adrenaline or whatever. But I don't have any, like, really, like, emotions. Like, some things stimulates me, some not. But I cannot say, like, I'm depressed. Either I cannot say I'm super happy. I don't really have these fears, like, not really.
I understand. This was all great, and I appreciate you allowing me to go there and asking you difficult questions. I think that it's important to answer those difficult questions because, as you said, some of the articles and stuff that's written about you online, questioning the veracity of your story has actually affected you. And I think that it'll be up to our listeners and our viewers to decide.
Yeah, I always say, like, everybody has their own opinion about everything. And as we discussed in the beginning of interview, press, they sometimes, just in order to make a very interesting highlight, they write about somebody, or like, for example, me, like, oh, like a sex spy confession, or like a master of manipulator.
I'm going to tell you right now that is probably how we're going to describe you too. Not a master manipulator, but the sex spy.
The sex spy, yes.
Because that's a term that's catchy, and that's people will want to read about your story, right?
Yeah, I mean, I understand. But like, then again, we just spoke about this app. What's the name? I forgot. The Perplexity app, right? Yeah. And you said the Perplexity app, or like which app, actually gave my name as the only one and the first former sexpionage expert and agent. I'm the first one who's revealing this information. Of course, people may not believe because I'm the first one. And it's always hard to be the first one. Maybe my story will encourage another former sexpionage agents to come and say, actually, I've done the same. I know what she's talking about.
Right.
So it is normal for people not to believe me. And I don't push them to believe me, of course. And it's all about me sharing my story, telling what I'm about. And it's your opinion. If you believe me or you don't believe me, it's up to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the time we spent together.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed our conversation and getting to know you a little bit.
Me too. Thank you so much for this, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Aliia.
Thank you.